Excuse me, sir, what's your name? Were you on the winning team today?
Yes.
You were? Did you score any baskets?
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
Welcome to Athlete Alchemy.
Welcome back to Athlete Alchemy, the platform where we explore the journeys of athletes, professionals, and creators shaped by sports and life. I'm your host, Walt P. And today we're diving into the journey of someone who transitioned from competing on the track to telling some of the biggest stories in sports. Somebody that we go way back home to Philly, and even before I met Kris, knew his brother. So go way back. Had my 10-year reunion this past year. So that means I've known you for at least 10 years, bro, which is crazy to say. But joining me today is Kris Rhim, Los Angeles Chargers beat reporter for ESPN's NFL Nation. Kris has built an impressive career in sport journalism, from covering the Baltimore Ravens, Atlanta Falcons, to reporting for the New York Times, Boston Globe. He's been everywhere you can think of. He's been. But before all of that, Kris was a track and field athlete at Springfield College. And also before that, he's my fellow Central High School alum, the prestigious Central High School alum back in Philly. So, Kris, man, welcome to the platform, brother. Definitely appreciate you for being here.
Thanks for having me on, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So, Kris, before we kind of get into, all the things that you've been up to and that you've been doing, man, I just want to give you your flowers, bro. I greatly appreciate all the things that you're doing out there in the journalism field, but also just kind of representing yourself, staying authentic to who you are. And you a few years younger than me, man, but definitely, look up to what you're doing and everything that you've been accomplishing. And you're a big piece, your journey is a big piece of this platform and kind of what we aim to do here. I hit you up probably, I think it was like 2-3 years ago. Me and you was trying to track back before we got on here to when that conversation happened. But a lot of our conversation, which is kind of where I was at, kind of navigating the different passions, those things that I'm passionate about. One, creating content, but also education, talking about the podcasting. At the time, it was like right coming out of COVID. The podcast boom was like right before that. So just, is the market oversaturated and all those different things. But just the conversation for you gave me, some peace of mind, and to really just tap into some things that I'm really passionate about. And just movement and alignment. So definitely want to say appreciate you for that conversation more than you probably even know, bro.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate you, man. You always been doing your thing too since high school, whether it was football or with the school stuff. So man, I think we've been an inspiration to each other. So I really appreciate it, man. For real.
Yeah, no, absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man. So we're gonna start here, bro. Take us back to Philly, man. We both born and raised in Philly. So you take me back, man, back to the roots, man. And as far as growing up in Philly, for you, what was that first like Philly sport moment for you that you can kind of recall? And like when would you say you fell in love with sports?
Yeah. I don't have like a specific moment where I fell in love with sports, but one of the moments that sticks out, I just always love sports, but one of the moments that sticks out to me for some reason I can remember it vividly is when Deshaun Jackson returned a punt against the Giants. They had come back. It was this big comeback win against the Giants, and Vic was on the Eagles then, and I remember my dad was going crazy, and I was going crazy. That's just like a seminal moment of my childhood, and I think my passion, maybe my passion for big moments in big games, right? Like that was such a crazy moment for me. So I think that stands out to me. But I grew up watching SportsCenter all day, NFL Network all day, just really just taking in as much sports as I can. Christmas, I always asked for, sports jerseys. And it was kind of weird because my brother played sports. He was better than me at the sports that we both started, like basketball, football. He was better than me, which was funny because he didn't care, he didn't really care as much as I did about it. So it was weird because my family wasn't like my mom, dad, brother, they weren't really too big into sports, but I've been a fanatic for as long as I can remember.
I got you, bro. I remember that moment vividly too. Like I'm not an Eagles fan, like most people that's probably celebrating that Super Bowl. But I remember that moment vividly too, bro. It was weird because I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like I still remember this. I was at like a Dunkin' Donuts, bro, when this happened. And I'm like, why is Dunkin' Donuts showing the Giants and the Eagles game?
Oh, that's crazy.
It was crazy. They had the
What,
TV on the
TV?
Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, no, I swear. And Deshaun Jackson, because I remember it. Coughlin was like, yo, don't punt to him, punter. kept that John in bounds. D-Jack took it back to the crib.
He got released. I think that all season.
Yeah. That was a crazy moment. But definitely, man, that was like a good era of Eagles football. And funny thing about your brother, like me and Josh, we went to middle school together as well. I remember he was tough in ball, but I used to like recess was everything for me, dog.
Yeah.
Like I was like, bro, I love sports, right? So like recess, that was my NBA finals every time. I
Right.
swear, just when you play with us, man, like the first 2-3 weeks of school. After that, he was just chilling, just cooling it in the cafeteria. That was it, bro.
Literally.
Everybody wanted him with his team, bro.
Yeah, and I would have been out there. Like, it's so different. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But you end up going to Central. Obviously, you know, best high school in Philly. We could talk about Central all day. You 276, right? Correct?
Yeah, 276.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So you was there. You was a freshman, I guess, my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
But track. Like, tell me about track, because I don't think you ran freshman year, did you?
Nah. Yeah. So
yeah, because I'm still mad at you and Colin for that. By the way. Wait,
yeah.
tell us how you got into track, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm Jamaican, so my family obviously loves track. My uncles, everybody loves track, but I never got into it. I just played basketball, played football briefly, then I got hit, retired. But then I always wanted to play basketball. You know, I wanted to go to NBA. I'm barely 5'8" for anybody that doesn't know my height that's listening. So I was never going, nor was I good enough. But I really had like the NBA dream until freshman year. I tried out at Central, and then I got cut. And then I'm like, well, Jordan got cut. And then I made the team my sophomore year, and I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. And then my sophomore year, so I ran track in middle school, so I kind of misspoke. Middle school, we didn't have a track team, but we ran at Penn Relays, like the Philly Public Schools. Penn Relays is a thing for Philly Public Schools, a special event. So we ran in that. We actually won. So always like track was always a thought, but I was never like, I don't know if I want to do it. It's running. It's like, you know, the worst part of every sport. Like when you get punished in another sport, it's like you have to run. That's all I'm doing. But I was like, you know what, let me stay in shape, for the next basketball season. So I ran outdoor track, and I was solid. Like I was better than I expected. And I remember when I was younger, I used to play tennis at the Arthur Ashe Center. And I remember some guy told me, like, because I had moved up like my age group, and some guy told me like, you should stop playing basketball and like just do this. And I'm like, he's tripping. And then I thought like, oh man, like maybe I should do, because at that moment I was beginning to realize like I'm not gonna grow more. I don't think I'm not going to the NBA. I'm not gonna be a pro athlete in anything. But this could get me to college. Like I could do this in college. Like if I'm this good already. So then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just do track. The coach was there. He was like, yeah, you should keep doing it. So I just did track. And then it turned out to be good for me, man. And you know, I talked to a bunch of different schools. It was really cool, you know, being recruited and all that. So yeah, track was great. I ran the 200, the 400, the 6, the 8, and 1 to 8 my senior year. And yeah, it was. Then we won the league our senior year too. So it was really good, man. So yeah, track's meant the world to me. And we won Penn Relays, I think. Did we win? We won the 4x4.
Yeah, y'all did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the reason why I say I'm mad at you and Colin, because y'all both, bro, like I saw it. Like I always followed what y'all did beyond, you know, once I was going from Central, right? Like even when I was at IUP, right? Like I'm following it because, you know, I'm played football in college, and you understand that. So it's like football was like that sport that I probably felt like I was the most naturally gifted in football, right? Like I'm similar to you, you know what I mean? I'm you know, teetering on 5'10", you know what I mean? I'm wearing 5'9.5", right? Like it depends on what pair of sneakers I'm wearing, right?
Right.
So for me, like basketball was my first love as well. So like I thought, well, growing up, you know, I played varsity as a sophomore at Central and those types of things, and then got injured football season at the end of sophomore year, so missed that whole basketball season. And for track, I didn't run track my freshman year of high school. I went to Roman Catholic. I don't know if you knew that. I went to Roman my freshman year, actually. Yeah, so I transferred to Central. And then I ran track growing up, though. Of course, my dad's a track coach, so like track was in me, but I was trying to get away from it. I was just trying to get away from it. But it at Central, man, track was everything, because it was like that was like the one team, like we was dominant in track, right? Like we was winning the pub. Y'all won Penn Relays, right? Like it was like that. So I always look back on that. We had a great season my senior year. We won the pub. We went to states. But we was missing one leg, man. We had 3 strong legs, man, in that 4x4. We had 3 strong legs in that 4x1.
Yeah.
It was just one leg, and it was you in college. I don't know. I don't know how that school let two, legit freshmen just get by without being on the team. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm always mad at you. I still every time I see McCray, and I got to get in his ear because those was the years, dog.
No, we could have been special. We could
We
have
could
been.
have, bro. We could have,
Damn.
man. But you end up earning, the opportunity to run collegiately, bro. Which is big, and not many people do that. So we gonna get there, but right before we get there, bro, tell me a little bit about like when journalism like came into the picture, because I remember when I was a freshman at IUP, you hit me up. I don't know if you remember this, but
Yeah.
you did an article on me. Was it the centralizer that you was writing for, or was it just
Yeah.
like the
I think
journalism class?
big centralizer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So tell me a little bit about that, about journalism, and like when did like writing really come into the picture as well?
Yeah. This funny story about that article too. The centralizer actually published like a draft version of that story in the paper, and it was like filled with typos.
Okay.
It was like I was pissed. I was super pissed. But anyway, when I got cut from the team my freshman year, I think I started realizing like, okay, I need to figure something else. Like I still had the thought that no, I'm lying. I think sophomore year, once I made the team, but I wouldn't make varsity. Like I was playing JV, so I was like, okay, like I need to figure something out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not going anywhere with this. So I talked to one of my friends who was the editor of the school newspaper, the sports section, and he used to say like, you always so much about sports, like you should give it a shot. So I went out for the paper. I became sports editor, and then a sports editor my final 2 years, I believe. And then I think I just really enjoyed the idea at that point of this is something that I can be close enough. I can be sports adjacent, even though I'm not going to be one of those guys, and I have a passion for it. But it really wasn't until the summer after my freshman year of college when I was doing an internship, and I wrote a story about Christian Marche, who he was, we spelled our name the same way. He was way faster than me. We ran for MOTEP. One of our rival track school was MOTEP when I was there. And this kid who ran at MOTEP, we used to talk a lot of trash. He was really, really good. The day before he was supposed to go on a full ride to Penn State, he shot and killed. So I'd written about it. And I think after I wrote about it, that's when I had learned like, oh, I think journalism has a power journalism has a value that's bigger than just you weren't good enough at sports, so you want to be a journalist. This is a tool you can use that can be cathartic for people, that can change laws, that can really have an impact on communities, and that story had an impact on me, on my community, and it was a form of healing, I think, for me and for a lot of like young Black men in Philly who also fear that that could be their future, So yeah, I would say that me not making varsity was when I, like, early enough in my high school career told me that I wasn't going anywhere. And then that story in my freshman year of college is when I first understood like journalism and really started to understand like what journalism is and why, and really gained a passion for it. So I would say after my freshman year of college.
Absolutely, bro. And I think you hit it on the head there, is like just the importance of it, and like how it helps people express themselves, how it helps people like be in tune with like what they're feeling and those things. And also like a lot of times I think for you and probably for me too, I was a communications major as I entered college. And for me, sports was kind of all I knew. Sports was all I like truly like was passionate about and cared about. And for me, it was like watching ESPN. I think you talked about it, and watching, Sports Center, and knowing all the stats, knowing all the people like that. And a lot of the times it's like subconsciously, right? Why am I so like obsessed with this game? A lot of the times it's the storytelling behind it. It's like how, the stories of these legends are being told. So I think a lot of times that's subconsciously, but it's great that you were able to like have, a moment, of course, a tragic moment for sure. But being able to kind of like take that and kind of build something and tell that story of someone who he's still being his impact is still being felt in the city now, right? Like they have an invitational meet for him now in Philadelphia. So I mean that's a great story there, bro. And as far as like when you kind of turned it up a notch, right? Like like you said, you had this internship, but then like beyond that, bro, like you was doing it all at Springfield, right? Like you was the poster child, right? If you go on the website, right, like you was doing it all there, man. So like
Yeah.
for you though, like you were still competing, on the track team too. So like, what did that balance look like for you to be able to be, a track and field athlete at the collegiate level, be involved with the writing component and journalism. I seen you was at the Paul Classic, interviewing future NBA players and stuff like that. So like for you, how were you able to balance that? And then like any tips that you think like students that are trying to navigate those different identities of being a student athlete could kind of work through?
Yeah, I'm it's a good question, and I think it depends who you are, depends on the school you were at, right? I think, again, like I knew that, and I got to college. Not everybody knows this, and not everybody believes this, and they shouldn't, because some people it's not true. But I knew when I got to college that I wasn't going pro in track, but I wanted to run track, and I wanted to be as good as I could be. But at the same time, I also understood what the situation was, right? So I never missed, a practice or anything like that, but I definitely stretched myself completely thin, right? Like if to be the best student athlete, like to be the best athlete, excuse me, you need your sleep, you don't need to be doing, but at college, I was on the board of trustees. I was the president of like 3 clubs. I had a work study. I had my girl, that was a lot, right? Like a lot of the nights, I would finish, this club meeting, that club meeting. And it's 9:30. I didn't even eat dinner. I gotta make myself dinner, and then I gotta do my homework. And you know what I mean? And then I'm going to sleep and then my girl might want to watch the show or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep and waking up early and doing it all over again. So I say the balance for me came in the thought that I would tell myself that like I'm doing all this, like it's gonna be easy, like after. And then also thinking like I never did anything where I felt like it wouldn't benefit me moving forward. At Central, for example, like college was very easy for me because high school was very hard for me because I had to I lived, 45 minutes from the school. So I had to wake up super early to get there. My mom usually took me, but, sometimes I have to take the bus and the train. I always taking the train home and the bus home. I get home super tired. College, I could just wake up, walk to where I need to go. So that's one thing that helped me. But I would say in college, right, like, for example, the student trustee position, I applied for this position. It's Springfield. It's one student represents the student body on the board of trustees. And my thought was like, straight up, like, these are like, I didn't grow up with money. I don't, so I'm like, the board of trustees, these are people who just giving money to the school. So I'm like, wait, I need to like, not that I will go in there asking for anything, but just
Yeah.
I just want to be in the room, like, I just want to know, like, somebody could tell me something, like somebody in this room has to know somebody who's done something, or they can give me advice. And in that room was the president of the Basketball Hall of Fame. In that room is, this different president, that different person. And, or when I was the president of certain clubs, I would bring people in to talk. So it's a long way long story short, I think the balance, athletics and others while you're in college, it's just a mental thing more than anything, and understanding that, like, just make sure you put your time. If you're putting your time into things that you can tell yourself this will matter in the future, it's a lot easier for you to do it. And nothing that I was doing felt like I was wasting time. So it was always easy for me to do. It wasn't a question of it. So that's what I would say, in terms of balancing your time and then take your breaks, man. Like, I went out on the weekends, when we didn't have meets, and hung out with friends. So it wasn't all work. You need a break.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's just great that you were able to kind of, figure that out. And some days, of course, I'm sure were harder than others.
Yeah.
But I think you explained it really well, right? Like, just kind of putting yourself in those right rooms and putting those things in their spaces. You went to a smaller college as well. I went to a D2 school. And I think sometimes those are the benefits. Of course, we all sure had those D1 dreams and
Right.
things like that. But I think finding the balance for me, going to an IUP where I could, like, I was involved with the radio show. I was involved with the TV show, right? And like all those different things. But I think you really explained it well in terms of like the trustees position, right? Like putting yourselves in those spaces and in those rooms, that those conversations and those relationships could turn into something down the line, man. And for you, you mentioned it, talking about the Basketball Hall of Fame, bro. So as a student, you had a podcast, man. That was covering Basketball Hall of Famers. So Liberty, Justice, and Ball podcast. Tell me how that came about with your professor, I believe. And kind of, what was that project all about, and kind of what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, that came about because basketball is my favorite sport to watch and play, as I've said. And my professor also covered basketball for a while, and we used to talk about it often, and he knew about my passion. And one day he asked me if I want to do a podcast. And so we started this podcast because I was passionate about basketball and social justice. And also, I think it's converged with everything that was going on in the world. And, with George Floyd and the killings, Breonna Taylor and the uprising. So we started the podcast, and then we would interview, journalists or people in our circle that had that kind of social justice and basketball connection, or just, more often social justice and basketball connection, or just prominent basketball names as well. And always the conversation would involve social justice. And then we pitched it to the Hall of Fame. And, I had that relationship already through the board of trustees. And also my professor, Marty Dobrow, also had a relationship with the Hall, and they were all about it. And so we did the podcast, and the Hall would provide us the Hall of Famers. So it was, from there, it was pretty easy, man. It was, well, not easy, but it was pretty cool. Like, they'd be like, who do you want? There's the Jerry West, Grant Hill, all these names. And it was pretty cool for the time we did it. And yeah, I think I learned just so much. I mean, about, how different the world is, right? Like we're Black, and we can sit wherever we want on the train. You know what I mean? Like it's just simple. It's certain things that the world is definitely not perfect. But hearing the stories of the guys who, were forced to sleep in different hotels from their teammates, or had teammates who refused to do things with them, or opponents who refused to do things with them, or being called the N-word in college games, Bernard King talked about on our podcast. It's just makes you appreciative of the struggles that our elders went through to ensure that we could do everything that we're doing now, and even the opportunities I have, right? Like there's a bunch of internships and fellowships that I got, I think by way that were, we're, marginalized groups, or, we're trying to help BIPOC communities. Like these are all things that are happening because of what they did. And I think that podcast helped me, reminded me of that.
Absolutely, bro. And just a lot of game, I'm sure that you got just from talking to these guys, man, and real legends, dog. Like bucket list checked all, bro. Before you even get that piece of paper, before you even go, across that stage, bro. But that was just a dope opportunity behind it, and something that, like you said, like sometimes things align in a way that they're supposed to. Of course, again, like it's during a time of probably one of the, if not the area of the most unrest that I've ever seen in our time here. But being able to just during that situation, you were fortunate to be able to share and embrace what was going on, and tell great stories and share great stories, man. So that was definitely a dope experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you started to kind of go into like the fellowship component, but like for you going from being a student journalist, I'm sure you were writing for the school and things like that, to get an internship with the Boston Globe, and kind of landing those opportunities with the New York Times, with the Falcons, right? So like, what was that transition like of going right from graduating, starting to apply for these internships? Kind of how did that all kind of transpire?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that stressed me out most, I think, in college, just getting internships and stuff like that. So, after I graduated, my senior year, I was really wondering, or going into my senior year, I was really wondering, I think I'd always thought like that I would get a job after my senior year, and like a full-time job. But I did this thing called the Sports Journalism Institute after my junior year of college, and a bunch of the seniors that were in the program got internships after college and then got a job. And I was wondering, like, why are people doing that? And then I kind of learned that, like, it's pretty hard for you to get a job at the Boston Globe or at the, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution with no experience. So a lot of places value that internship almost more than like a certain job you might take elsewhere, maybe covering high school sports in a town that people typically get out of college. So I actually applied for the Boston Globe internship as a junior. And I didn't get it. I applied for a million internships. I didn't get it. But whenever I didn't get something, I usually reached out to the person, just, how did, what can I do? What did you think was missing? All that. Next year I apply, and it's the same woman I talked to before. I mean, she didn't say anything, but, I interview, I get the internship. And actually the second time I apply, one of the instructors from the Sports Journalism Institute now worked at the Boston Globe. So it's like luck combined with, what I mean? So, and I don't think that me getting that was like an accident, right? So obviously I worked hard for it, but I think that has something to do with it. And so I get the Boston Globe internship. Once I get to the Globe internship, I'm already thinking about, what am I going to do next? So while I'm there, I'm just looking for jobs, obviously hopeful that they hire me, but I applied for this job at the Atlanta Falcons doing features. It's called the features reporter. So I basically would write features and do some on-camera work. And I got the job, and I told the Globe, kind of hoping that they might have something for me to stay, but they didn't. So I left the Globe, and my internship ended, left the Globe, which was very cool. I covered the Red Sox the whole time. I hate baseball, but it put me in an uncomfortable spot.
Hey, whatever you can do, dog.
And just figured it out. And so covered the Falcons. And then again, as soon as I got to the Falcons, I was thinking, because in journalism, some people want to work for a team, but when you work for a team, if you're at a team, sometimes people think that you're, they see you as like a team person, and that you're, you can't be a, objective journalist and stuff like that. And so I thought that the Falcons job was a cool way for me to get into the NFL space, so that wherever I went next, I wouldn't have to, I would have NFL sourcing, and that I could cover the league, and I wouldn't have to, do anything lower, like which is, some people want to do college, people want to do high school. I really want to do professional sports. And so when I got in to the Falcons job, I remember having a conversation with someone who worked at ESPN, and this person told me like, hey, we really look at that New York Times fellowship. We really value it a lot, but it's really competitive. You could try some other stuff too. So I had applied for the fellowship the year before. I didn't get it. So I had a call with people, and the woman said, you did a good job. Like, you just needed some more experience. So I'm like, all right, we'll see. And then I got it and got the fellowship, which was unbelievable. And I applied for the fellowship really early on in the Falcon job, which was an awkward conversation when I told them but they understood. It was the New York Times. Sorry, I'm kind of going on, but then I was
you good, bro.
Yeah, I was at the Times for a year, which was the greatest position I've ever had. I was doing everything. I did the what I do, Super Bowl, the college national championship of football, the women's Final Four with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, everything. It was pretty cool. World championships for track, and then fellowship ended. Went to the Baltimore Banner, covered the Ravens for like a month and a half. Then I got to ESPN. I've been here for a little over a year and a half. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I moved 5 times since I graduated. But, yeah, it's been good, man. I would say what I've learned from, like, being out of college is, like, just be willing to move. And, well, if you're able to, a lot of the times places will move you. But also, I saved for some of those moves where they didn't cover it. And it's really been worth it. And yeah, it's been good, man. Sorry, I just kind of went long.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect, bro. And I think there's a lot of themes that you kind of covered, bro. Like you get knocked down one time, you get back up twice, right? Like, it's just like a lot of things I think that are important with our journey, right? Like timing, like those things that are meant for you will happen, right? Like, it's just like you not being discouraged, but also you going an extra mile of like, they told you no. You followed up, or how can I look from within, as opposed to saying, I don't mess with them no more, right? Or getting the ego hurt, right? Like, I think that's a thing, and you could attribute it back to like being an athlete, right? Like, you're not gonna win every race, right? But that doesn't dictate like, that I'm gonna just quit. Like, you're not gonna just quit. You gonna train harder. You gonna work on your crafts, and then the next time, right, when you face that person, you gotta win, right? So I
Exactly.
think it's just a testament to kind of who you are, man, and shout out to you for to keep going. And I think to everyone like kind of listening out there, um, that are navigating this space, super competitive, bro. Like you mentioned, like super competitive. And you've gotten that feedback from people that are in that space. Also, not being afraid to like listen and learn from other people as well. I think a lot of times, like, hey, I play sports my whole life. I'm writing about sports. These dudes up there, they out of shape, right? Like these, like, they don't look like they play basketball one day in their life, but nah, they out there too. They out there too. That and
Exactly.
they putting in that same work. So, the competition, is definitely steep there. And I'll say like for you, man, like, what's like a lesson or something that you've learned, kind of along the way, early, on in your career or now? Like you a seasoned vet, bro. You still young, but like, I feel like your experience of where you have been, like the Boston Globe, the New York Times, as big as it gets, and then of course like you're in, the biggest league in America in the NFL now. So like, what are some lessons kind of along the way, that's kind of helped you continue to like to grow as a professional?
Yeah, I think for me, I've learned that I think your story's never as good as you think it is, and it's never as bad as you think it is. And it's just to make sure you're reading, man. Like with me, I just when I was there are different places I've been, but I think the Times was really my most enlightening journalism experience because it really felt like this is I'm at like this like this is the pinnacle of writing, like this is the pinnacle of reporting and writing.
Yeah,
Other places been other places, and sometimes you see another reporter and you'll say like, oh, like I feel like I could have done that, given the same situation, like I could have done the story this way, or maybe I could have done it better, right? Like when I got to the Times, like I was like, oh my god, like I am like this, I cannot do that, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I legitimately like this is like there's no like top to bottom the whole sports staff. I'm like, oh God, yeah, like this is like, and there's other places like that too. Like, but it's just I think it. I don't like to think I'm like a cocky person in general, but being humble is whatever too. I also like people who pop in and talk,
yeah.
but I think it just it I've really learned about just being humble, man. Like just understanding that like I've been really lucky, like to do all the stuff that I've done. I've been really lucky. Like I know a lot of people who I think are just as good as me, if not better, who just it didn't. Everything I've told you, right? It's been like perfect timing, right? Knock on wood. And things have just worked out, and I think appreciating where you are, because I've worked so many places, and every place I worked, I was like looking at the next stop as soon as I got there. Like my head was like, oh, I need to go next. I need to do this. I need to do that. So I think one, it was just like, I would say one, understanding that you have to get better. Like you think you wrote this, perfect story. I look at some of the stuff I read and I'm like, I can't believe I wrote that. Right. Like, if I probably read the thing that I wrote about you, I'll probably say, this is terrible. Like, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, I'm still gonna frame this on,
Yeah.
bro. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, so yeah, man, I would say that just understanding like you can always grow, and then two, just I guess it's being where your feet are is the cliche, like because everywhere I've been until now, I feel like I've been looking forward. Just I'm trying to appreciate where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I think you are, man. Like reflecting on that, and definitely being able to say, yo, like I did this, right? Like I'm 4 or 5 years in the game, but like I did this, right? And but still, like you said, I think being humble and accepting that, but also staying hungry. I think in this world, sometimes it's so constant, right? With so much that's going on that it's hard not to chase that next thing. But just like some small reflection points or spending time with people that keep you grounded, whether that's going to the crib, spending time with your girl, right? Just like having that community of people. And like this platform, a big component of it is community, right? Like for me, community, wellness is a big piece of that. And then also like exploration, right? So staying curious, staying constant in terms of trying to continue to improve upon yourself. So definitely important, bro. But you are well on your way, bro, and I'm excited to kind of see what you continue to do and continue to build. Got like one more topic before we kind of go into some quick hitters, man. So this one is more so like looking at the landscape of like sports media, and you're in tune with it. Me and you, we've talked about it. This past weekend was All-Star weekend. A lot of different in the NBA, a lot of different conversations came up. Draymond Green, who's a guy who's been outspoken when it comes to media, and how athletes are covered in the media. You're a sport journalist yourself. You're a former athlete as well, but not playing professionally. Like a lot of this athlete-driven media, I think is a huge wave right now. I think through COVID, I started a podcast during COVID. A lot of athletes started podcasts through COVID. Everybody named mama probably, grabbed a mic during COVID, right? But as far as like athlete-driven media, I'll use the term that Draymond Green coined, new media. And kind of like, do you have any perspective or any thoughts on kind of new media, how you view it? Because like I can also say like, yo, Kris is a young brother from Philly, that's in his 20s. Like for real, he knew media, right?
Yeah.
Like the way he covered it, he's still authentic to himself. But then Draymond might push back and say, nah, but he not in the locker room with us, right? So like, how do you like view the whole landscape? It's a loaded question, I'm sure, but like athlete driven media, the new media, like just how do you feel like the space is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the space is oversaturated, but I think it's a good thing overall. Like, the athletes now have the power to tell their own stories, right? And I think that's cool and good. I think it's a good thing for people to have, because you want those different perspectives, and I think it's just cool. Like as somebody who likes to, Jeff Teague's podcast, I love seeing those things come out. But I will say that I think there's always a place for like an objective, kind of record of history, right? Like, from journalists that are reporting on the moment this happened from an objective lens. I think that's so important. I think that's something that'll always be important. And when you talk about the new media, like I think one of the things that's tricky about this job, growing up in Philly, growing up an athlete my whole life, is that I oftentimes feel like when people are like, oh, I don't want to talk to a reporter or this and that third, it's like in my head I'm like I wouldn't either. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's just weird. Like it goes against. Oftentimes it's like you're the cops. Like, when you go to the locker room, like you're the police. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it goes against everything that like you know what I mean? Like it's a conflicting. Sometimes it's a conflicting thing. I'm thinking to myself like I completely understand what he's saying, and I completely understand why this person sees me this way. And over time, I feel like I think I do a good job at breaking down that wall once people talk to me and they see who I am. So I think new media is good, man. I think the athletes having podcasts is good. But I don't think we're going anywhere. I think we'll always have a place in terms of traditional journalism, but it's cool, man. It's good. It's a good thing for sure.
Absolutely, bro. I'm right there with you, man. I do think it is important to acknowledge like the professionals like yourself, and because y'all are doing such important work, man, and talking about things that are so important, and covering it in a neutral way, and covering it in a way that's so impactful in those types of things. So definitely, bro, definitely there. As far as kind of next that I have for you, bro, is just a few rapid fire questions for you to kind of get you out of here, man. And then kind of just leaving the people, leaving the listeners, the former athletes, the young professionals out there with a little bit of advice. So first person I got for you, man, favorite athlete growing up?
Kobe for sure. Kobe.
Okay.
Yeah, Kobe.
Man. Mamba. I got you. You Lakers fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Just because of Kobe.
Oh yeah. You got. I already know. You probably got some tickets lined up to go see Luka and Bronson with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. And then as far as like right now, you got a favorite like show, book, album, anything you listening to, reading, what you got right now on the lineup?
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry that I'm looking down.
No, you straight, bro.
The Chargers just re-signed somebody, so I'm trying to.
Okay. Get a tweet out, bro. You go ahead, do your thing, bro.
My favorite show is Industry. Actually, it actually just ended, but it's a really good show. Yeah, really good show, man. Like honestly, like probably top 5 shows I've watched, man. It's crazy. Like, so that's my favorite show. But I'm watching actually Paradise on Hulu. I'm watching right now.
I'm watching that joint right now too. My girl's so behind. I'm like telling her to hurry up so I can get back on that new episode. She about to get left behind. That joint tough though. That joint is tough.
It is.
Favorite interview or moment in your career so far, man? I know you did the Oprah thing. The NBA Hall of Fame thing. been with the Ravens everywhere and everything. So what's been your favorite moment or interview so far in your career?
Favorite interview in my career? Dang. I think that's a really hard question. Favorite interview, like me interviewing somebody or somebody interviewing me, you saying?
You interviewing somebody?
Me interviewing somebody, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, dang, I don't know, man. I don't have one yet. It's weird.
Okay.
I think my favorite athlete to talk to that is probably Khalil Mack so far.
Okay.
He's been cool with me. We built a cool relationship.
That's great.
I think he's been, yeah, to be as big as he is, to be like cool dude. I would say it's him. So I would say our talks, like what I've had multiple stories where it's just one-on-one, me and him. I'll probably say one of the interviews I've done with Khalil this year. Actually, in an interview this year, he told me about how he saw a clip online of some offensive lineman telling him like Khalil is a solid edge rusher, and he told me he's like solid. He was like, yeah, I'll bust his ass. so, so yeah, like him just saying stuff, being comfortable enough to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So probably Khalil, like one of our conversations.
Okay. No, that's dope, though. That's dope. I mean, future Hall of Famer, so he way more than solid, man. Way more than solid, man. And then two more questions for you, bro. For this one, most like underrated like sports journalist or like writer out there that you would say, like, who slept on?
Yeah, slept on. I would say probably this guy Andrew K from the New York Times. He's a really good reporter. Really, like when I read it, he's one of those dudes that I read his stuff and I said to myself, yo, do I need to find a new field? Like, are we doing the same? He sat right across from me at the New York Times, and I thought to myself, like, hey, like, yeah, I don't know if this is not good. I don't know if you know what I'm saying? So that guy's underrated. Like, he's not a big name. But Andrew K.E.H. his last name.
K.E.H. Yeah, I just found it. I just found him. So yeah, all right, I'm gonna tap into that real quick, pal. And the last question I got for you, bro. One piece of advice for any young athlete, young professional that's kind of making that transition out of college, trying to get into journalism, trying to get into kind of sports media. What's kind of like that one piece of advice that you would kind of leave them with?
Yeah, I would say getting into sports media, my biggest advice would be to try everything at the beginning. Actually, no. I'd say my biggest advice would be to look at the people who are in positions that you want to be in. When I was in college, I used to look at people. I remember I wanted to be Stephen A. real bad, and then as I grew, got older, my passions kind of shifted, and someone I really had studied in college was Malika Andrews. And I was just fascinated by how she got to where she got to at her age. Like, how did she get to how was she at ESPN at, I don't know, how old she was, I think 24 or 20, something like that, 23. And at New York Times before that. And I was just really, so I used to listen to her podcast, whatever podcast she went on, I listened to it. I used to read everything, everything about her. I didn't read all her stuff, but just reading like her path. And I say, okay, in my head, I looked and I said, okay, she went to college. She did SJI, which I said I did. She did this. She did a New York Times fellowship. She was at the Chicago Tribune for like a month, and then she was at ESPN. So I was like, can I do that? Can I recreate? And then I didn't get the fellowship out of college, so I missed. But, I tried a second time, then I got it. Then I didn't get ESPN out of the New York Times, but I went to the Baltimore Banner, and then I got ESPN on the next turn, right? So I think it's definitely not that simple, but this was a person that I literally like was looking like, how can I do this? And it kind of happened that way. It wasn't easy, like, I definitely reached out to people, try to make connections, but find that person. I reached out to Malika, she had answered my email. So yeah, I would say reach out to people and just talk to people. A lot of people are not going to answer you, but some of them are. And I also find that, like, the people that don't answer you, like, if you stay in journalism, you're going to pretty much run into everybody. Like, you're going to run into them. And sometimes they might talk to you, sometimes they will, but you're going to see people. So, long advice, but that's my
No, that's great, bro. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Really appreciate your time, man. This like I said, man, I've been waiting on this for a minute to kind of, have this conversation with you more in depth. And definitely looking forward to kind of staying more in touch, man. Follow you, of course, from afar, and you do the same, but just being more intentional with having these types of conversations. I definitely appreciate your time, brother. And if you want to share, plug your social media, so people out there can find you, follow along your stories. I always try repost your stuff when I can, but if you want to just share your social media with the people.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, bro, for always supporting and having me on, man. I hope this blows up, and thanks for having me. My Twitter is Kris Rhim, just KrisRhim1, and my Instagram is just Kris Rhim, and then I'm on Threads too, but not really. But it's Kris Rhim.
You on Blue Sky yet?
No, eventually
Okay.
I probably will be.
Eventually, I got you, man. But Kris, definitely appreciate you, bro. Definitely everybody out there, appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Stay with us, keep building with us. And really excited to continue to grow this community. Peace.